In a historic move shaking the monarchy, King Charles, battling serious health issues, has privately declared Kate Middleton ready to be queen. The stunning royal decree signals a dramatic shift in power, pushing Camilla aside and placing the future of the crown squarely in Catherine's hands. King Charles's sudden health crisis shakes the palace. London, November 2025. The mood inside Buckingham Palace has shifted from quiet concern to full-blown crisis. King Charles III, who bravely revealed his cancer diagnosis in early 2025, is now battling what insiders are calling a complicated and escalating medical situation, and it's taking a visible toll on his role as monarch. Over the past 2 months, the king's public engagements have all but vanished. Royal observers noted that he was absent from the annual Remembrance Day ceremony, a tradition he rarely misses, and cancelled 2 overseas state visits in late October without formal explanation. Behind the palace gates, the truth is grimmer than the public realizes. Medical teams assigned to the monarch have reportedly advised a strict reduction in workload, warning that high-stress ceremonial duties could worsen his already fragile condition. He is said to be spending most of his time in Sandringham, shielded from the media and visitors, with only a tight circle of advisors and family allowed access. One senior insider revealed, "He's simply too unwell to maintain the weight of the crown right now." The doctors aren't sugarcoating it anymore. The situation is so delicate that Buckingham Palace staff have been quietly reassigned, a move some interpret as early preparation for a regency-like transition. According to multiple sources, constitutional advisors have been brought in discreetly to brief senior royals on next-step protocols, should the king need to delegate power or formally step back. In private, the mood is tense. The king, known for his discipline and sense of duty, is reportedly resisting full withdrawal from public life. But those closest to him fear the clock is ticking faster than anyone expected. And in those closed-door meetings, held over the past several weeks at both Clarence House and Balmoral, one name kept surfacing over and over: Kate Middleton. Sources confirm that the question is no longer just about who takes over the ceremonial reins in Charles's absence. It's who the public will accept. And in that regard, the answer was clear to many: Catherine, Princess of Wales. "We have to prepare for what's next," one insider shared. "The king knows time isn't something he can bargain with anymore." This moment has turned into more than a health scare. It's a turning point for the monarchy itself. There is no formal abdication, no public crisis. And yet, behind the velvet curtains, plans are being made. And the spotlight, once fixed firmly on Charles, has begun to move. Slowly, but unmistakably, it's settling on Kate. Because when the question becomes who leads the monarchy forward, the answer is no longer uncertain. The answer is already standing in the wings, and she's ready. Private meetings held. Charles's inner circle in crisis mode. As King Charles's health continued to deteriorate behind closed doors, Clarence House became the center of a quiet storm. In mid-October 2025, a series of high-level private meetings were held, closed off from staff, unannounced to the press, and limited to only a few trusted individuals. Present in the room were the monarch's closest confidants: Queen Camilla, Prince William, 2 senior royal aides, and constitutional advisors with deep experience in crisis planning. These weren't ceremonial gatherings, they were strategy sessions. What was once whispered among a few is now being spoken aloud. The king may not return to full public life. At the heart of the discussion was one troubling question: what happens if Charles can no longer carry the crown? Insiders say the king himself initiated the talks. Though proud and deeply committed to his role, Charles is known to be a realist. According to sources, he expressed doubt, not about the institution, but about whether Camilla could lead in his absence, especially with the public still lukewarm about her image. "She's queen consort, yes," one aide explained, "but Charles never imagined her ruling alone. That was never the long-term plan." This triggered a heated internal debate, especially around public perception, stability, and who the nation would trust if Charles were to step back. And that's when William reportedly spoke up, with force. According to a source close to the family, William made it clear, if the monarchy is to survive this storm, the people need to see Catherine. She's ready. She brings unity, strength, and calm. The idea wasn't coronation, not yet. Instead, a new plan began to take shape. A soft regency model that would quietly transition many of the king's public duties to Catherine, allowing her to function in a queen-like role without formal succession. This would be unprecedented, but legal, and crucially, palatable to the public. The goal? Ensure continuity of leadership while maintaining the dignity of Charles's reign. By the end of October, draft documents had been drawn up, outlining Catherine's expanded responsibilities, leading state visits, receiving ambassadors, managing key royal patronages, and even presiding over private Privy Council sessions. Diplomatic channels were also alerted. Select ambassadors and Commonwealth representatives were briefed off the record, told to expect a visible elevation of the Princess of Wales in the coming months. Meanwhile, Camilla was said to be visibly unsettled during the discussions. Though she remained composed in the room, insiders say she later told a confidant, "This wasn't what I signed up for." One royal official tried to ease tensions, stating, "It's not about removing Charles. It's about protecting the crown, while he recovers or while we prepare for something harder." With the framework now in place, only one thing remained: putting the plan into motion. But this next step would come with consequences, and the first to feel them would be Camilla. Because the moment Catherine begins to step forward, someone else has to step aside. Camilla's fury. She was not meant to be sidestepped. Behind the polished palace walls, Queen Camilla is furious, and sources say she's not hiding it anymore. For years, she believed she'd earned her place beside King Charles, finally wearing the crown once denied to her by public disapproval and history's long memory of Princess Diana. But now, that position appears threatened. After King Charles's private decree naming Catherine ready for queenly duties, tensions between Charles and Camilla reportedly exploded. Aides described the mood at Highgrove House as icy and volatile following the announcement. Camilla expected to gradually step forward if Charles's health declined, but instead, she was sidelined. Insiders say she confronted the king, accusing him of rewriting the plan without consulting her. One insider revealed, "Camilla said, 'I stood by you for 50 years, and now you want to hand it all to her?'" What stings even more is that the British public is embracing Catherine, while Camilla's approval ratings remain flat. Despite years of service, charity work, and carefully managed public appearances, she's never fully escaped Diana's shadow. Now, with Kate rising, that shadow is growing longer. It doesn't help that within the palace, Catherine is seen as the symbol of stability. She's younger, universally admired, and scandal-free. In contrast, Camilla's journey to the crown has always been complicated. Sources close to the firm say she fears losing everything she worked decades to build, including her influence, platform, and quiet power over royal decisions. Some courtiers believe Camilla is now quietly resisting behind the scenes, not outright defiance, but subtle delays, hesitations, and closed-door arguments. There are even whispers that she's been meeting with trusted advisors to reassert her status, though no official moves have been made. What's clear is this: Camila did not expect this shift, and she's not going down without a fight. But the winds inside the monarchy are changing, and they're blowing in Kate's direction. The stunning royal decree, Catherine declared ready to be queen. It happened quietly, behind locked doors and away from the cameras, but the impact across the royal household was instant and seismic. In a closed-door council session held in late October 2025, King Charles made a declaration that would alter the course of the monarchy. Speaking to a select group of senior royals, advisors, and palace officials, Charles formally stated that Catherine, Princess of Wales, is now ready to take on the full weight of the crown's ceremonial and representational responsibilities. It wasn't an abdication, but it was the closest thing to a public transfer of symbolic power that modern royal history has ever seen, delivered by a king still sitting on the throne. The statement, though not released to the press, was leaked within 24 hours. The wording was clear. According to one senior aide who was present, Charles said, "She is a pillar of strength, grace, and duty, qualities my mother, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, valued above all. She has earned the trust of this country and mine." This wasn't flattery. This was a signal. With his health in decline and his public engagements nearly halted, Charles needed the world to see a future, and he was making sure Catherine stood at the center of it. According to insiders, internal documents were drafted just days after the meeting, formally authorizing Catherine to act as chief royal representative in all but title. Key roles, like leading Commonwealth summits, hosting foreign dignitaries, and standing in for Charles at major diplomatic events, were quietly shifted to her schedule. This move represents a historic first. Never before has a reigning monarch publicly signaled the preparation of a daughter-in-law for the throne, without a coronation or succession event in sight. You'd have to go back to Queen Victoria, who carefully shaped the image of her son, Edward VII, in private before allowing the public to see him as her true successor. But even then, it wasn't this open. In contrast, Charles's decree is both bold and intentional, designed to calm the public, manage the press, and outmaneuver uncertainty. Palace sources say the fallout inside the royal family was immediate. Staff were ordered to begin transition briefings, while royal PR teams were told to subtly pivot messaging. More Catherine, less Charles, and Camilla. Behind the scenes, her entire schedule was overhauled within days. Speeches were drafted, events were reassigned. Catherine, already admired, was being reintroduced, not just as the Princess of Wales, but as the future queen in action. And yet, one name was never mentioned in the king's declaration: Camilla. There was no acknowledgement of her current title, no reference to her role, and no note of gratitude. For someone who had walked beside Charles for decades, the omission was deafening and deliberate. "He didn't even say her name," one insider said, and that said everything. From that moment on, the monarchy shifted. Not with a coronation or royal wedding, but with a quiet sentence, spoken in a private room, that changed everything. It's no longer a matter of if Catherine will be queen. It's now only a question of how soon the crown will rest on her shoulders. Catherine's royal evolution, from Duchess to de facto queen. The shift has already begun. Catherine is no longer just the Princess of Wales. Over the past 3 months, her role has expanded quietly but significantly. reflecting her new queen-like position inside the firm. Her calendar is full. Catherine is now representing the crown at major state functions, without William by her side. At the recent state opening of Parliament, she stood in for the king. During the October Commonwealth reception, she welcomed leaders solo. These aren't just small appearances. They're historic signals of a transfer of symbolic power. Behind the scenes, sources confirm she's undergoing accelerated royal grooming. This includes private briefings with former aides of Queen Elizabeth II, diplomatic training, and ceremonial rehearsals previously reserved for reigning monarchs. She's being prepared for something much bigger, one senior courtier said. And she knows it. Catherine has also taken on key patronages previously held by Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mother, further cementing her new identity as a national figure of duty and grace. One of her latest patronages, the Royal School of Church Music, had been personally overseen by the Queen Mother since 1939. Palace insiders describe her as laser-focused, but calm. She's not playing politics. She's stepping up with quiet confidence, letting her actions speak. Her recent appearances in Windsor, Manchester, and Edinburgh have drawn enormous crowds, many holding banners that read, "Queen Catherine, we're ready." Public relations teams are in full gear. Catherine's wardrobe has subtly shifted, more structured coats, signature brooches, fewer playful patterns. Her tone in speeches is more direct. In one recent speech on children's health, she declared, "It is my honor to serve this country. I do not take that responsibility lightly." The shift isn't just visual, it's strategic. She's being positioned not only as a bridge between generations, but as the next face of monarchy itself. And for the first time in royal history, a queen-in-waiting is already acting like ones. William and Kate's power rise. Modern royals for a new era. As Catherine rises, Prince William is right beside her, firm, focused, and deeply protective. The couple, already popular, are now the centerpiece of the monarchy's survival plan for the post-Charles era. William is said to have fully endorsed his father's quiet transition plan. He reportedly told aides, "If the people need us, we'll be ready." This isn't just royal duty, it's personal. He sees Catherine as not just his partner, but the anchor of a monarchy that desperately needs stability. Behind the scenes, William is leading with strategic calm. He's taken on more constitutional responsibilities, private briefings with Parliament, and deeper roles in military decision-making. Together, William and Catherine are shaping a future monarchy that blends tradition with relatability. In fact, internal polling commissioned by Palace PR teams shows that over 72% of the British public now favor William and Kate as the main faces of the monarchy, outranking Charles and Camilla by more than 30 points. Among people under 40, that number jumps to 85%. The future is clear, one palace source said. It's Will and Kate. And everyone inside knows it. Their image is sharp, family-focused, charitable, and scandal-free. Whether it's Kate visiting children's hospices or William supporting mental health programs for veterans, their roles are more than symbolic. They feel real. Palace insiders also reveal that Charles has grown to deeply respect William's judgment, especially in the past year. He reportedly told a close friend, "My son will make a better king than I ever was." And Catherine, she's the monarchy's anchor. As the spotlight grows, the couple has already begun making internal adjustments. They've increased their private staff, moved key operations closer to Windsor, and are preparing for greater control over royal finances and household planning. This isn't just a couple doing more royal work, it's a strategic repositioning. They're no longer heirs to the throne. They are acting like its protectors. Diana's legacy revived. The people's queen. Dream lives on. Whether the palace admits it or not, Princess Diana's presence is everywhere in this unfolding moment. As Catherine's rise accelerates, many royal watchers say it feels like the monarchy is finally delivering on a promise it never kept, a promise made to a woman whose crown was taken before she ever wore it. Now, nearly 3 decades after Diana's tragic death in 1997, the public sees Catherine as the living embodiment of her spirit. Graceful, compassionate, and quietly powerful, Catherine is becoming the Queen Diana was meant to be. In interviews and on social media, Diana's longtime supporters have been calling this shift "justice at last." A trending post on royal forums read, "They denied Diana her place, but fate gave it to her daughter-in-law." It's not just symbolic. Catherine's growing influence, alongside William, is seen by many as a continuation of Diana's mission. From her work with children's mental health to her hands-on approach during public engagements, Catherine mirrors the natural warmth that made Diana the people's princess. Even royal insiders admit this connection is not accidental. One former palace aide revealed that Charles himself once said in private, "Catherine reminds me of her. The way people light up around her, it's the same." This emotional parallel is stirring something deep in the national consciousness. And while it's drawing praise for Catherine, it's also stirring Camilla's deepest insecurities. Camila, who spent decades battling public resentment over Diana's downfall, now finds herself being pushed to the sidelines by Diana's legacy, resurrected in the form of the woman the public already calls Queen Kate. Within the firm, this dynamic is becoming impossible to ignore. Aides reportedly avoid comparing the two women around Camila, but the tension is obvious. In one leaked exchange, a senior royal was overheard saying, "This is the crown Diana never wore, and Kate will." Whether by fate or design, Diana's path is now being walked and completed by the very woman married to her firstborn son. The people see it. The palace feels it. And for Camila, the past may no longer be behind her. The public reacts. Britain cheers, but palace divides deepen. The response outside palace walls has been nothing short of explosive. Within 48 hours of the leaked royal decree, headlines across British and international media hailed Catherine as the rightful future queen. Polls taken in late October show a staggering 78% of the public support the move. In one Snap survey, over 60% said the transition should begin immediately. For millions across the UK and beyond, it's the change they've been waiting for. "Kate is everything we want in a queen," one respondent told the BBC. "She's modern, but respectful. Strong, but kind. She's ready." But not everyone inside the palace is cheering. As support for William and Catherine rises, a visible divide is forming within the royal family. Some members of the old guard, including Princess Anne and Prince Edward, are reportedly uneasy about the pace and direction of this shift. They remain loyal to Charles, but aren't fully on board with the power vacuum being filled so quickly. One source described the atmosphere in recent family meetings as tense but quiet, like a storm that hasn't hit yet. The most notable silence? Camila. Despite her usual poise, she's avoided public events since the decree, prompting further speculation. A palace aide hinted she's taking time to regroup. Meanwhile, media coverage paints Catherine as the steady hand Britain needs. Daily papers have run headlines like, "The People's Queen steps forward," and "Kate carries the crown with quiet strength." Across the Commonwealth, leaders have begun taking note. A diplomatic source confirmed that several countries have privately expressed support for Catherine, assuming greater ceremonial roles, even before Charles formally steps aside. The country may be united behind Catherine, but inside the palace, the cracks are spreading. The monarchy now faces a defining moment, not just of succession, but of identity. And the question being whispered through gilded halls is no longer if Catherine will become queen, but how many bridges will burn before she does. What this means for the monarchy's future. What we're witnessing now isn't just a shift in royal duties, it's a restructuring of power at the heart of the British monarchy. And this time, it's not coming after a death or abdication. It's happening while the reigning king is still on the throne. King Charles's health crisis has pushed the institution into unfamiliar territory. A soft transfer of influence, designed to safeguard the monarchy's image, purpose, and survival. But the real headline? The crown is quietly being handed to William and Catherine, not decades from now, but right now. Insiders say this strategic shift was Charles's way of controlling the narrative before it's taken from him by circumstance. One courtier shared, "Charles knows the monarchy can't survive another public crisis. He's trying to secure its future, while he still has the power to do so." This move also sends a clear message about the monarchy's next chapter. In a time when trust in institutions is faltering across the globe, the Windsors are betting everything on the stability and appeal of a younger generation. William and Catherine represent that. Traditional enough for older Britons, but modern enough for a global stage. Camilla's future, however, is less clear. Once seen as a future queen with expanded influence, she's now expected to retain only ceremonial visibility. According to leaked internal guidance, her public schedule will be limited to select events, while Catherine's will expand in scope and seniority. This adjustment comes as the palace redefines who carries royal symbolism. Where Queen Elizabeth II once was the monarchy's face for 70 years, that visual mantle is now being shifted to Kate. Not because Charles can't fulfill it, but because the monarchy can no longer afford to wait. Meanwhile, internal briefings have begun for key royal staff, many of whom are being reassigned to the Prince and Princess of Wales's office. It's the strongest signal yet that authority and resources are moving in one direction. One royal historian summed it up this way: "This isn't just the preparation for a new queen. It's the beginning of the end of Charles's era, deliberate, peaceful, but final." The monarchy, in survival mode, is picking its champions, and they've made their choice. The road ahead. Coronation conversations begin early. The next chapter is already being drafted, and it's happening faster than expected. According to senior aides, the palace has started confidential planning sessions for what's being called a preparatory coronation, a ceremonial event that would elevate Catherine and William without requiring Charles to formally step down. These discussions, which began quietly in late September, focus on balancing tradition with flexibility. Charles would remain king in name, but his day-to-day powers would be transferred in practice. It would mirror what some have described as a shadow regency, legal behind the scenes, symbolic in public. One insider close to the discussions revealed, "The goal is to let Charles finish his reign with dignity, but give the people a monarchy that can stand on its feet today." There's already talk of reorganizing royal residences. William and Catherine may take on full-time presence at Windsor Castle, with Charles retreating more permanently to Sandringham. The shift would be subtle, gradual, but by 2026, the picture could look very different. Diplomatic sources confirm that Commonwealth leaders are being briefed privately. The goal is to secure quiet support before any public rollout. No grand declarations, just a careful reshaping of the royal landscape. Palace aides are also exploring how to handle media messaging, aware that any sign of a forced transition could cause public backlash. But with support for William and Kate at an all-time high, there's growing confidence that the people are ready. In fact, one well-placed source said the biggest challenge isn't public resistance, it's internal politics. Old guard royals, still loyal to the traditional hierarchy, are pushing back behind the scenes. But their influence, much like Charles's active reign, is quietly fading. By the time the official coronation arrives, whether in 2026 or 2027, much of the groundwork will already be done. Catherine won't need to adjust to her crown. She'll have already worn it. And so, the question the palace no longer asks is if she will be queen. But how soon will the world be told? The throne is still Charles's, but the crown is already casting its shadow, and it's pointing straight at Kate Middleton.